everybody, welcome back to another video. It's been a while, but we are here with Call of Duty Warzone 2.0. Specifically for this video, it's going to be for the Battle Royale mode. We're going to be looking at the graphical settings for Battle Royale. What I have been personally using, it's more of a streamlined look at what I'm going to be using for my Battle Royale settings. Again, still being a little tweaked, but I feel like I'm pretty happy and ready to play the game in a good manner without having to waste a ton of time within those settings. And in today's video, we're going to go over, I wouldn't say like super in-depth, but I also want to give enough detail within the game. I will go throw up a quick TLDR of just all my settings if that's all you really cared about seeing. So just watch the video, pause, and then scroll through everything and be able to set it up in the way as like an easy preset for you just to start out with, and then you can work from there. Again, we all have different systems, different monitors, different everything, so nothing's going to be generally the same, but hopefully it'll give you to a starting point and then you'll have a lot more fun playing the game. All right, so we're in the graphics settings tab here. If you didn't know, it's in the cog up in the top right, or just clicking F3 to open your settings, and then you'll come into graphics. So we'll start with the display, then go into quality and view. Just a note right off the gate, I'm actually using most of these same settings for multiplayer as well, so I'm not going back and forth changing things a lot. So if you're just one of those people who like to jump back and forth in between the games, then that's great. But if you're just a free-to-play player, this should work for DMZ and Warzone. First off is display mode. I usually set this to full screen exclusive just to ink out a little bit of frames. Make sure that VSync is off if you're playing with G-Sync, as I am. Custom frame rate you can set to your refresh rate of your monitor. In my case 144, but as the testing I'm doing, I just keep it on unlimited. As you can see in the top left, it's just kind of going above 144. And then if you ever have any issues with shader optimizations, you can restart your shader optimization here. Moving into quality, what I am doing is I'm not actually using any upscale sharpening or whatever. A lot of people use like Fidelity FX CAS, and I don't really like to use that. I got a lot lower frame rates. It did make the image look a little bit sharper, but in my case, for my monitor that I'm using, which is a Dell TN panel, and it's a 1440p 27 inches, it just didn't look that great. I think it looked a little too sharp. I just turned that off and I saved a lot of frame rate. Again, play on render resolution of 100 because that'll be your resolution that you're using for your monitor. There is a bug in the game where this actually changes that to like, I think like 35% or so. So if things just look a little fuzzy, it'll look actually a lot fuzzy. Just change that up to 100. And aliasing is something very subjective, so this will be something on your end. You can play on SMAA T2X. It was hard to say. I just play on the filmic version because it looks a little bit smoother than just normal. Because if you just go here, apply on the character edges, as you can see, it's just like a hair sharp. You can see it, especially around like the goggles, and then the interacting with the shadows. But then when you go back and you just change it to filmic, it like smoothens everything out. If it needs a little bit more sharpening, that can be a good use case for using it. Otherwise, you can just use it like an upscale sharpening effect for that. In aliasing quality, you can either set to normal or high. I've set it on high. I haven't really seen too big of performance hits. Video memory scale, I've kept at 80 because if you try to go above this to the 90 mark, you may experience some hitching, which I was, so I've kept that on 80. The texture resolution I've found on normal looks just fine. If you go to high, it takes a massive boost, almost a gig in VRAM usage. And there's really not the biggest of differences, especially because you're running around a lot. You have to consider that you're just running around. You're not playing like a Skyrim, like slow-paced game. And then if we just kind of look at all of these settings, we'll go through them quick. Anisotropic filtering, I've just kept on low. Nearby level of detail low. Again, don't really care about that. Even distant level of detail I've kept on low. You can't put that to high if things are like clipping in a weird way, especially in bigger maps like Warzone, but I haven't really noticed too big of an issue. Flutter draw distance I've just kept short. Particle quality is one that I did want to turn on to high and then give the normal quality level, even though if you're getting spammed by a lot of grenades, or especially these thermite grenades on the picture, it looks a little more hazy. So you're going to get a lot more haze on the screen and blockiness when you're seeing these things pop off. But when you're taking a little bit of a performance hit and you can see through those a lot easier and maybe pick up on an enemy, it may be a good trade-off. But again, that's something you may want to play with. Bullet impact sprays, just keep on. Shader quality is a low, medium, or high setting. I just kept that straight on medium. It's not a huge increase of performance, but it does make colorization on surfaces look a little bit better. Tessellation, just keep off. Again, I'm not really like looking for cool ground textures and whatnot. As long as the game looks good enough, I'm totally happy with. I did have the terrain memory set to the max though, because if you have some things off in the distance I was doing, I don't know if this is 100% with terrain memory, but I noticed some things were loading in a little too late. So like if you're zooming in on somebody and you didn't see anything and then just bushes randomly appear, I'm not sure if this is with terrain memory. Someone can definitely correct me on that, but it is the memory for distant terrain textures, so I'm guessing that is what the use case is for. On-demand texturing I've kept on with the cache size to be 32. I think it's what, 32 gigs. You can turn this up if you're having some issues. Streaming quality is for large maps. I kept that on normal because you want the quality of the world to at least look semi-good and not get like too lost within the streaming quality of it while you're just running around and things are just randomly loading. I think that's what this is dealing with. I've kept it on normal and things have looked good for me. I don't know why volumetric lighting was on medium. That should be on low. It does have a pretty decent effect on VRAM, CPU, and GPU usage, so I've just kept that off. It doesn't really matter to me. Water physics and deferred physics quality I just turned off. Shadow map resolution is one that is subjective. If you like decent shadows to not look horrible, very low may not be for you. Otherwise, you do get a decent amount of, I guess, visual clarity around shadowy sections with very low on. It just may look a little grainy to you. Same with screen space shadows. I just kept that to low. You can actually turn this off, but it looks a little worse in my opinion, so I just kept that on low. Spot shadow quality I actually keep on low, and spot cache is something that is within the community going around on like Twitter right now that have been said to cause hitching resolution. So if you put it to high, it may give you a little more of a cache size to collect those spot light shadows and not cause some hitching in especially like bigger maps like Al-Mazrah. And with particle lighting, I just kept that on normal, turned off ambient occlusion, screen splice reflections, this also static reflection quality, and then weather grid volumes all seem to have changed on me, but I want off, low, and off. And then here at the bottom, we're just going to keep NVIDIA Reflex low latency on. I do think it helps perform optimization for system latency, and it does a great job at it. Depth of field, world motion blur, and weapon motion blur, and film grain, I just keep all off. None of that is needed at all. And then going into the view section, hopefully some of this is a little more helpful as well. Field of view at 120 is just, it's just so nice. Like honestly, if you play at something lower, that is totally fine if you like the visual look of that, but 120 just gives you the total edge on seeing everything around you. Affected ADS field of view, something also great. Weapon field of view wide. As you can see on the two pictures, it pretty much just makes the weapon look bigger or smaller. With vehicle field of view, I keep that on wide as well. And then going into the first person camera movement, which is what we're playing at from the majority of the part, is least at 50%. So that just is all about camera shake. All right, hopefully that little in-depth look at my graphic settings would help you out, and you'll have a little bit more of an understanding of what some things are used for. Again, didn't really want to go like ultra in-depth on detail and waste a lot of time, but I also wanted to give you at least a general overview of why I'm using certain settings the way I am. The game feels good. It's feeling a lot less hitchy than it was, and I think it's going to be going probably even better just based on graphical updates and driver updates, and then more optimization within the game after all these reviews have come out. If you like these kind of videos, definitely subscribe. We're going to have some more videos maybe coming out here soon, and we'll see you in the next one. Peace.